Hello everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and welcome back to the Encyclomedia show. Finally, going to continue the Walt Disney Treasure series. I know at least a couple people have asked, when are you going to finish that? Is another thing abandoned like the PG-13 rating rant video, which technically still haven't abandoned that. Script's written. I just need to stop being lazy, that's all. That's all it is. Need to stop being lazy. I'll make them eventually. They're passion projects. I do want to make them. Sad reality is I don't get the views that I need to survive, but I do want to make them. So maybe we can Patreon it or something. I don't know. But even if we don't, I will find time to make it at some point. It might even be fairly soon because with January, everything's slow. Of course, now is also the time when I'm editing Oscar books, so, anyway. So, we're continuing with the Walt Disney Treasure series, and there were two things that were holding up this episode, just to let you guys know. The first was that my Surface RT started having audio problems, where it would record, and the audio would sound really disoriented sometimes. Now, it seemed to largely not do that near the end, but you've probably seen at least a few videos where the audio is getting a little fuzzy, a little hard to hear, and I didn't want to do that. I mean, for videos that I could sometimes be talking for 20 minutes, so heads up, this is probably not going to be a short video. It's really good for the audio to not be breaking up all the time. So I just didn't want to take that risk. And now I have a Surface 4 Pro, and the audio works again, officially, and it even looks better. I mean, look, it's clear. You can see my pimples and my facial stuff that I forgot to show you. Let's move on. But yeah, so that was the number one reason that I didn't make the next episode, or so it took so long to make this episode. And there's a second reason, but we'll talk that in a moment. In the meantime, let's talk about the next wave of Walt Disney Treasures, which there were 4 of. And we are going to start with the Chronological Donald Volume 2. So as the name implies, another Donald Duck collection. Donald Duck actually, next to Mickey, got 4 sets. The only difference is Mickey had 2 black and white and 2 color. Donald's was all color. So let's open it up. Back to the black casing. And I have number 56,362 out of 125,000. And look, Roy Disney's signature is back. It might have been back for the last set, but it's just nice to see it be restored. This is the lithograph that came with it. And the fact on the back is, while Donald Duck's fiery temper is well known, his full name isn't. It was finally revealed in an early 1940 short, Donald Fauntleroy Duck. And actually, believe it or not, I've owned this set for 7 years, never read that. This is the first time I've known that. So, discoveries. Here's, of course, the booklet. Gives you all that information on where to find things. And it advertises the other 4 sets. So, of course, that's nice. And unlike the other sets where they had like 2 openings, they just had 1 this time, so here's what the discs look like. This is actually going to make it slightly faster. And there's the back. And, oh, what do you know? I actually started keeping these once they stopped printing them on the back of the case. But I stopped throwing them away after this set. I said to keep them, so that's nice. Next set, and this one, this is actually one of my favorites. In fact, if we had a top 5 Walt Disney Treasures you need in your collection, and I might actually make that episode myself one day, this would be one of them. Walt Disney Treasures. Now they're kind of trying to give off the impression that they're continuing the Silly Symphonies lineup. And in a way they are. Some of these shorts would be at home with Silly Symphonies, but what this collection is the truly obscure, truly rare, truly weird stuff that Disney made, from Alice shorts to early incarnation of sound, to claymation. There's actually a short on here that I highly recommend about where the nursery rhymes came from, where they talk about, where, the songs London Bridge is Falling Down and Right Around the Rosy, Ashes, Ashes. It shows those songs and where they came from, and they're actually kind of fascinating. They were educational, but guess what? They were interesting. And this, you don't, it's really hard to, there's no theme in this set other than the shorts are rare. They didn't know where else to put them, so they put them here, and that's what makes this one so exciting. And they did have faith in this one because they kept it at 125,000 units. I got 73,007. And the lithograph is actually something that you guys are probably familiar with, Paul Bunyan. Legendary folk hero Paul Bunyan is so big, he even has his own day, June 28th. Thurl Ravenscroft, the voice of Paul Bunyan and many other Disney characters, was also the voice of Tony the Tiger. And you've probably seen this one because, again, this was a short, it was released on VHS. By the way, there's a booklet. I'm going to stop showing the booklets. There's really nothing else to see on them. And it wasn't Silly Symphony, but it kind of felt that mold. So that's the thing. Rare stuff. I really like this unique stuff. I just love this set so much. And the discs, now that I look at them more closely, you've got one disc about something truly obscure, another disc where it's like, you've probably seen this, but you maybe don't know what it is or you're aware of it. So this is actually a very unique set. This is by far one of the best sets they released in this collection. And it's sets like these that make me really miss Disney making these in the first place. And I will discuss how Disney could bring these back in a very effective way for the future if anyone at Disney happens to be watching. Continuing with the Mickey Mouse theme, because they just tried to keep Mickey in this as much as possible, a Mickey Mouse Club series, The Adventures of Spin and Marty. Not gonna lie, not a huge fan. Are they bad? No. Are they? In fact, they're even kind of enjoyable to a certain extent, but not my thing. I definitely prefer the Hardy Boys. I wonder if they actually made a Hardy Boys Walt Disney Treasures. I guess we're gonna have to find out. So this one, 125,000. I've got 93,062. So maybe these were all 125,000. And here's the lithograph. And the fact on this one is the primary location for Triple R Ranch was the Golden Oak Ranch north of Walt Disney Studios. Perfect as a boys' camp, it also became a perfect setting for Walt himself. He was so taken with the Golden Oak Ranch, he bought it, and to this day, movies are still filmed there. So that's an interesting little bit of trivia. Let's see here. I wonder what the discs are. Okay, well, one has Spin and one has Marty. I'm trying not to sound too lethargic on this one. I know there are Spin and Marty fans out there, and I don't want to criticize them too much, because you know what? I get it. It's not my thing. It really isn't. Now then, this last set we're going to talk about is the second reason that this video took so long to make. The El Fago Baco and the Swamp Fox, Legendary Heroes. Because here's the thing. Until a few months ago, never watched this. Bought it, have owned it for almost 7 or 8 years, never watched this thing. Didn't even know what it was about. I own over 5,000 movies, folks. You would be surprised at the number of movies and DVDs I bought that have never been opened or looked at. So this one I did open, though, because, you know, I think I at least watched the Leonard Maltin introduction. But never watched it until recently. And my reaction is, well, I like El Fago Baca. It's interesting that Robert Loggia is a Latino. But, you know, as Leonard Maltin explained, Latinos, it was hard for a Latino to get real work. And since it was in black and white, they could kind of fake it with a white guy. But aside from that, El Fago Baca was a very positive role model for the Latino community. And as you guys can tell, my last name's Rodriguez, so technically I am in the Latino community, and it's nice that at this point Walt Disney was at least taking steps to get Hollywood out of badges. We don't need no stinking badges. So it's nice. Is it great? Probably not. I think there was a better Latino character that the Disney studio created for the Disneyland TV show, and we might talk about that later. Possibly, might, maybe. As for the Swamp Fox, it was okay. It was okay. Now here's the thing. Before we get into showing you the thing, even though I didn't care too much for this set is actually a very good reason why this series was good, because this is something that would have been lost. And I don't want it to get lost. I don't want it to not be available at all. Do I care for it very much? No, but there might be some people that do. I have actually shown my niece and nephews, and the nephews are like 2, so they don't care. But the niece kind of likes El Fago Baca and the Swamp Fox. Interesting. So it's nice that it's available. It's nice that it's not lost to the sands of time. And I think it's stuff like this, not the Donald Duck and the Mickey Mouse and the Goofy stuff, which is always going to be around in some capacity, but shows like this need a Walt Disney Treasure series just to stay alive. And that's what I miss most about the series. So even though this is not my number one choice for a Walt Disney Treasures I would get, and it's also not the most recommended, as you'll find out when we discuss how much these things go for, it's nice. So let's talk about... And here's the interesting thing. 125,000. So all these had 125,000. I have 82,693. Here is the placard. Or placard. The lithograph. During the American Revolution, the British could never find Patriot Francis Marion and his band of warriors. They couldn't even anticipate his attacks. Knowing the Carolina swamps better than anyone alive earned him the nickname Swamp Fox. And you can probably figure out how these discs are gonna play out, because it would be really dumb if they did it any other way. But both characters, 2 separate discs. Real simple. And now let's talk about, of course, how much these sets are gonna set you back, because unfortunately this set will definitely cost you. First of all, this series can go for well over $100. It's pretty common to go for over $100. The Disney Rarities goes for almost $200. It's pretty rare. This is the cheapest one. This one you can typically get for $20, which is actually cheaper than it would have been for retail. But this one can go between $300 to $500. $300 to $500. I mean, seriously, if I wasn't a completionist and didn't care about collecting the set, I'd just sell it. Because it's like, I don't watch it. It's not my thing. But this is the most rare one. And it's kind of interesting because as we saw, all of them had the exact same print run, and yet this is the one that stands out. It's the one that you've been least likely to heard of, but then I think that it might be because it's the least likely here. People don't seek it out, so people don't know to sell it. I think a lot of these actually sit in used DVD stores or thrift stores. This one is the most common you're going to find, but it's Donald Duck, and so it's still going to go over 100. I'm kind of surprised this one isn't more, but I guess $100 to $200 is not bad. Does not surprise me at all. This is not very popular. Doesn't surprise me at all. Sorry. But this is the one that's going to set you back. So anyway, before we end this episode, I will be making the next wave relatively soon. We won't be waiting months on end, but I'm also at the end going to make a few more lists to wrap up this Walt Disney Treasures extravaganza on the Encyclomedia show. We're going to have top 10 of my favorite Walt Disney Treasure sets. We're going to have the top 5 least favorite. And then we're going to have the top 10 most expensive ones and the top 5 least expensive ones. And then we're going to have a video where I discuss where this series can go in the future. It's technically been discontinued, but I'd like it to come back. I'd like Disney to bring it back. But what could they do with it, and what would I like to see in the future? All of that will be coming up here on the Encyclomedia show. So good to be making these again, finally. And I'd like to know what your thoughts of it are, so comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.